Over the weekend, an event called Arcs Expo took place, which is like a Phantasy Star convention. This is the first one they've had since COVID started, and one thing that made this one notable is the ability to playtest Waker. Thanks to the players and the internet, we now know more about the Waker class. First things first, like I said before, Waker is like a reimagined version of the Summoner class, and as such its weapon of choice is the Harmonizer or the Tact, depending on who you ask. And as I suspected, it scales its damage off technique potency. However, unlike Summoner, it has no way to use ranged or melee potency. Also, despite using technique potency, Wakers cannot use techniques, unlike Summoner, which use techniques as part of their strategy. Also unlike Summoner, instead of using pets, you can use familiars that do not need to be raised. The bird is actually a dragon named Fredran, the gorilla is actually a wolf man named Wolfer, and the explosive puffball is Marumero. Fredran's PAs make it an excellent ranged attacker, so it's kinda like Redron from PSO2. Wolfer's attacks are good at close range, so it's kinda like Synchro. Marumero doesn't have any photon arts, so it acts as the Harmonizer's weapon action. A guard, more specifically. After guarding enough times, you can use the weapon action again to throw it as a bomb. Not quite the counterattack I had in mind, but it still sounds fun. I realize some of you out there prefer the pet raising aspect of PSO2 Summoner, which is something I can understand. After all, one of the reasons I enjoy replaying Pokemon and Shin Megami Tensei games is because strengthening your allies is half the fun of the game. But by that same token, raising pets could turn out to be a real pain in the butt. While other classes only had to upgrade their armor and weapons to be good to go, Summoner had to upgrade its armor, its weapon, and then raise 6 or more pets to level 130, and then fill up all their candy boxes so that they actually dealt good damage. And this whole process could take potentially several weeks depending on how many pets you were seriously raising. Also depending on how much you were able to farm and how many star gems you were willing to spend to speed up the process. As you can see, I did put in the work for Summoner. What I'm saying is that without the nurturing feature, you can get more power out of your pets right off the bat. Speaking of power, let's talk about skills now. The first skill, Tact Gear, allows familiar gauges to be used. This gives very little information until you read the second skill, Familiar Unison, which is an active skill that uses 2 gear gauges to unleash a powerful attack. Supposedly, you use Fredran to fill its gauge, then you switch to Wolfer to fill its gauge, then when both gauges are full, you use your Familiar Unison. The next 2 skills involve Marumero. Marumero's strike is how you do that explosive attack I mentioned earlier, and Marumero's strike tracing gives it homing abilities so you don't miss your shot. The next 4 skills are where things get interesting. Summoner fans will recall a skill that marked a part of the enemy that increased damage received by that part. Treble Clef marking follows the same idea, but instead of being an active skill, it's a passive skill that activates when attacking. And then there's Treble Clef Ignition that detonates the mark by holding down the normal attack button. Upon activation, Familiar Assist is also activated, which summons a familiar to continuously attack and fill the gear gauge. And then Familiar Assist Amplify increases the gear gauge increase. Which makes me wonder, is it better to leave the mark to deal increased damage, or is it better to detonate the mark as soon as possible to increase your gear gauge? Or are both strategies good, but are better suited for different situations? I don't know about y'all, but this kind of strategic thinking gets me all pumped up, so these skills alone are already enough to get me excited for Waker. The excitement continues with Hot Marumero Parry, an active skill that automatically guards against enemy attacks without interrupting yours. This is a great skill against active enemies, however, you may be unfortunate enough to activate it when it's down. Luckily, it has a short recast skill that reduces the cooldown time if it doesn't actually guard an attack. Tact Parry Counter. Now this is the counterattack I was looking forward to. After guarding, use a normal attack to unleash a counterattack. These are always fun and satisfying to do. Tact Parry PP Gain recovers photon points when doing said counterattack. Linear Drive. When performing a normal attack at the right time during a photon attack, it will change the normal attack into a repositional attack that lets you move forward or backwards. Now this is interesting, only forward or backwards, not to side. My guess is that it's designed to put you in a better position to switch pets without interrupting your damage. Linear Drive one more lets you perform another one after performing your first one. Call Again PP Save reduces your photon point consumption when your gauge is 0, so I guess this activates when familiar unison is used. The next 4 skills definitely work when Waker is a subclass. Old Friend Rescue sounds really weird. You have a chance to recover hit points when you're hit with damage that is equal to your maximum HP. So like, will I recover hit points instead of receiving damage? That much damage received would kill me, so is it like a easy auto revive? Additionally, this translation says equal to, so I'd have to receive exactly my max hit points, which would only work against ancient enemies and gigantics. Hopefully the official release will clear all of this up. Welfare management is really nice. When you're at or below a certain percentage of your hit points, you receive less damage and heal more from Rest Design. Resta Effect Continuous is very interesting. It reduces the Rest Design heal, but it also gives you a lingering recovery effect. It kinda puts me in mind of Gyresta from Phantasy Star Universe, but I also wonder if this skill would be applied to Force and Tekker's Rest Design field skills. Then Lucky Sign gives you a chance to not consume Rest Design or Reverse Design, which would be very helpful in difficult quests like Geometric Labyrinth, where Rest Design usage is very restricted. Personally, I look forward to using Waker. It sounds to be a burst-oriented attack class, where strategy plays a big role in your damage, with good combat variety and good defenses. As a subclass, it promotes healing and survivability, so it would be well paired with classes like Braver or Hunter, maybe even Tekker if that continuous skill is applied to the field skill. Even if you're not fully on board with all the changes they made, I hope you'll at least give it a try with an open heart and mind. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you all again once I have that augmenting video finished up.